when you are practicing calligraphy, you will make mistakes. It's inevitable. And so don't blame yourself. Blame Titivolus. And Titivolus is the patron demon of calligraphy. This is an illustration I did of Titivolus many years ago. Titivolus's job is to cause the spelling errors that we make, and he is obliged to collect them and put them into his sack and take them down to the devil every day. So be careful of Titivolus. He is always around. Spelling mistakes are commonplace, and you will be very unusual if you manage not to make a few. This is because calligraphy is essentially a right brain activity, and the right brain is concerned with spatial awareness, and the left brain is concerned with language as well as other things. So when you're concentrating on spatial relationships, your left brain isn't working very well, so it's very easy to make spelling errors. And if my classes are anything to go by, then there's an awful lot of spelling errors. We're concentrating more on the letter shape than we are on what we're writing. Now, I'm probably more guilty of this than anyone, and I've made a lot of embarrassing errors on very important commissions, so I'm not excluding myself from this. Have a look at this piece by Edward Johnston. Even Edward Johnston, the father of modern calligraphy, was prey to Titivolus. Look at the extra F he's put in professor. How embarrassing. Of course, the best thing is not to make these errors in the first place, and the way I do that is to write the text out first of all lightly and fairly freely in pencil, and then spell check it, thoroughly spell check it, and then I just go over in ink, wait for the ink to dry thoroughly, and this is important, thoroughly, before I go over with a soft rubber, or eraser I should say for you Americans, a soft eraser to get rid of the pencil. It won't move the ink, it will just erase the pencil, but it must be thoroughly dry, because if there's the slightest bit of dampness in the ink, you will smudge it. So that's another error. So we have a method, or I have a method of correcting these errors, so I'll do that next. Smudges are caused by impatience usually, so they can be avoided just by really being conscious of the fact that the ink takes a while to dry. If you're really in a hurry and you need your ink to be dry, then have a hairdryer handy and just use the hairdryer. I don't recommend blotting paper, because the surface of naturally dry ink is far superior to the surface of a letter that's been blotted, so best to let it dry naturally or speed it up with a hairdryer. Now, given the fact that you have smudged it or you have made a mistake, we can correct it, as long as it's not missing out a letter or something like that. We can correct it. You're very lucky actually, because I am the world's leading authority on correcting my own errors, and I have a tried and tested method which has been tested over the last probably 40 years or more. So I'll show you that now. The first thing you need is a scalpel. This is a Swan Morton scalpel holder, and you need a new blade. Here's some Always use a new blade. I use number 15s. This is a number 15 scalpel blade. You'll notice that it is curved. If you haven't got a scalpel, as long as you've got a curved blade which is absolutely razor sharp, that's what you want. It's got to be sharp. Don't use a blunt one. Now I put this blade into the scalpel holder like this. Okay. Now let's say that this is my mistake. First thing you want to do is accept the fact that it's going to take you 5 minutes to do it. Don't be impatient. You hold the scalpel blade vertically to the paper surface, and then you very gently, very gently scrape. So gently, I'm hardly touching it really. And just be so gentle. If you dig in at all, you will lose it. Can you see it slightly coming off now? I probably won't bore you with the entire erasure, but just do it gently, as if you're stroking a butterfly's wing. Not that I've ever stroked a butterfly's wing. So what I'll do now is I'll cut and then show you nearer the end. But be prepared to spend 5 minutes at least doing this. So I'll cut now. Okay, you can now see a bit of a smudge there where I have erased the letter with my scalpel. Now take a soft rubber and go over the top of that with a rubber, and you'll see that it's pretty much disappeared altogether. So that's how to do an erasure, but we're not quite finished yet, because you may need to say it was you put in an A and it should have been an E or something like that. You might want to write another letter in the space. So what you need is some gum sanderac. So this is my little thing, a gum sanderac, which is a crushed resin, and it's rather like talcum powder inside this little piece of muslin. I got the gum sanderac, which you can buy from a calligraphy supplier, online probably, and you crush it down in a pestle and mortar and then put it into a little muslin bag, and this stops the ink from going into the paper, because we've now upset the surface of the paper and we need to rectify that. So a bit of gum sanderac on it, and then we take another piece of paper, any old scrap of paper, put it on top like that, and then with a spoon we burnish the back so we get the fibres to go down like that. So there we are, there's your erasure, ready to take another letter in that space. So that is all I think I need to talk about. So good luck, but the answer is not to make mistakes in the first place. I could tell you some funny stories about mistakes, but there's no time. Right,